No one's ever called me worldly. I feel so
Oh,
sophisticated.
I would totally say you're worldly. It says connecting to Zoom, and it's like,
Yes.
no
No one's ever called me worldly. I feel so
I
sophisticated.
would totally say you're worldly. And it's like, okay, I have to like mute this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. All right. We're live.
Nice. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? Yeah,
We're good. All right.
good.
Oh, chat's up. Perfect.
Nice. We are live. We are good.
We're good. We're good. It always takes me like a second because I have to like click all these like buttons. I have like 3 things going up at once, and I'm like, okay, mute that, pull the chat up. And I'm always like, and then I feel like my eye looks like this.
I mean, you and I, it's funny. I think that's an interesting.
It's like I'm always so like hyper focused on it. It like drives me crazy. And I don't know what's going on with my t-shirt right here.
Yeah, it's great. It's
great.
We
were just talking about national parks, and I have my Yosemite shirt on today.
Yes, you do. Yeah, we were talking about that. I think this is a great. So today we're talking about, how to give yourself more credit and like just even. It's been so interesting because even as you might have heard me say it, but Jennie paid me a compliment. We were just talking about travel, just like easing into this conversation today, and really about what I've learned recently is when you start to ease up on yourself and you move from the beat up or the heavy criticism that you've very self-critical, you almost have to climatize yourself to being gentle and compassionate. And when you start to compliment yourself, the best way forward, as I've begun to notice, is just like catching it and noting that you're even complimenting yourself. So today I was saying to Jennie, like, for the first time, in terms of just like my pre-COVID and to COVID, I gained a lot of weight. I was really not confident, and I worked out. I've done a lot. I eat really well, and my body, as I feel more womanly. I feel more like what feminine means to me anyway, and really comfortable in myself. And so I was saying to Jennie this morning that I was looking in the mirror and I was like, wow, like you're pretty. And even as I'm saying this to you live now, like I have to like go like, oh my God. But it's exactly that. In that moment, I was surprised. I was surprised by how I'd actually said that to myself and complimented myself, and how I actually let it sink in and I didn't deflect it. Like, I think that's a huge part of today. What I want to talk about is definitely we do an excellent job of deflecting our own compliments towards ourselves. It's like the worst, like we're the worst deflectors of it. Like, and so it was the same when Jennie, said I was very like outward, like worldly because of I was like, wow, like, thank you. And I actually took it. Like I actually took the compliment and appreciated it. And I think that is growth in the sense of I'm not deflecting. I'm not questioning it. I'm not doubting it. I'm not trying to beat myself up. And we know because we've done it, right? The minute we say something nice or that you've accomplished something, you go, well, like it didn't make any money, or well, like whether it's work or whether we somehow fucking, kibosh our own self-love, which is really shitty, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
I don't know what it is with us, and I'm going to say, especially women, is that we feel like, and you hit the nail on the head when you said, well, it didn't earn us money. It didn't get us a status. It didn't get us anywhere. Like, it's not important, but it is so important to be like, to acknowledge our accomplishments. Like, I too am on this freaking 45-year journey of being healthy, and being healthy looks different for everybody else. I've been 60 pounds heavier. I've been, God, at one point in college, I was like 180 pounds and I looked like Skeletor. Like I was very thin, very unhealthy. I barely could play volleyball because I was just like limbs everywhere. But I've been like super heavy. I've been like 280 pounds, which is like terrible for my frame. And it's just like, you have to be healthy and happy. And it's like, I still have that mentality of like, oh, I don't look good. I don't feel good. I'm like this fat girl suit thing, but it's like, it's a journey. We have a whole lifespan and we're going to fluctuate mentally, physically, emotionally, psychology wise, like, and it's okay. And it really took me a long time to feel like it's going to be okay. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, and like, you just got to roll with it. When you said, I looked in the mirror this morning, you're like, yeah, I'm a damn sexy bitch. And I was like, yeah, you are. And you deserve to say that. Tomorrow, you're going to be like, I'm not a sexy bitch today, but I may feel good in something else.
Yeah.
We don't have to have everything at the same time.
Sure.
And I think that's what we need to realize, that not everything is going to be perfect at the same time. I might have like a good hair day, but I might have a t-shirt that looks like this.
Yeah, like it's
whatever.
It's so interesting that I love that word that you said. It's like fluctuation. Like that's a very fascinating word because it really talks about, like we're in consistent movement, like we're in constant movement, right? So to expect, it's probably I just had a breakthrough here live, but it's like, it's really about this expectation of going, okay, so everything has to be in order and I have to feel beautiful in every core confident part of my life. Like it's such a false expectation to put on yourself too, to be like, okay, so I'm going to be confident about my work today. I'm going to be confident about my body. I'm going to be confident about dating. I'm going to be confident. And it's like, okay, like those variables will shift and change because they're quite flexy, right? They do fluctuate. So to have that expectation of ourselves too, it's like, because we're surrounded by so much positivity and manifestation, like unless you live in a hole, you pretty much can go on any sort of major outlet and they'll tell you how to positive think, lucky girl syndrome yourself, solve for money. I don't know, like it's right. So there's this expectation that you're supposed to feel like, okay, I'm going to feel confident in all the areas prescribed. Whereas it's in the simplicity of like me just catching myself in that moment going, oh my God, you're pretty. And I was like, wait, what just came out of your brain? Like, that's never like, when have you ever complimented yourself in your body? And it's like that rarity that it's like, it doesn't have to be rare. Like, it doesn't have to be a rare occurrence that you just happen to look in the mirror for 5 seconds and go like, oh, I'm pretty. It's like, you can actually just like, that's where the credit I think starts to come in. And it's like, how do you build the credit? So I think that's what I'm learning is it's like in the past, I can talk about my accolades and we can be here all day about, how I've supported this community or built, helped build this business, yada, yada. But I think the credit needs to be built from yourself. Like, that's what I'm finally realizing. It's like, it's not about, we talk about, people can say like, oh, it's loving yourself. It's like, no, but it's like legit a thought process that you can do consistently to go like when I had that feeling, I'm pretty, I'm like, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to bank it. I'm going to try and do it again. Like, it's almost like you learn to compliment yourself, and not deflect. I think that's what giving yourself credit. Like you said, it doesn't even entail necessarily a result or an accomplishment. I think that's what the healthier way of giving yourself credit from a wholeness place anyway. Yeah.
It's just fascinating because we always feel like if we give ourselves credit, it's not worthy. We feel like we didn't earn it.
Right.
So why do we always feel that we have to work hard to earn the credit when it could be something so simple of like, man, today I just got out of bed and I'm not hurting. I mean, there's days when I get out of bed, I'm like, what the fuck? Everything hurts.
Yeah.
I could just get out of bed and stand up and not have like horrific like knee pain or shoulder pain. Like, that's a win. Like, just getting out of bed. But like, just acknowledging like seriously, it's rained for 3 days.
Yeah.
Here. And I'm like, the sun is out and like the birds were chirping this morning. And I'm like, that's a win. And I will literally take that win because it makes me happy to see the sun. It makes me happy to like get up and like, wow, this is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And we just don't acknowledge these little moments. We don't acknowledge the little things because we feel if like a win needs to be something really big, like a promotion or like your kid graduating or buying a new car. Like, no, it could be something so simple like the sun is up. You made your bed. You ate avocado toast versus like a Pop-Tart. Like something so simple that we forget that. Like little things. And I always tell my clients that like all these little things stack up to bigger things. Like we can't take that gigantic leap to the next step without having the little things stack up to get there. And we got to remember that. Like you got to build yourself up before you start building up other people.
It's so true. Also, I need to give you credit because you're wearing a green t-shirt today and I've never seen you in a green t-shirt. So
really? I don't wear this one very often because I think it's because of the color.
It looks good though. Like I think it looks really good on you. I'm just saying.
It's funny. Yeah. I don't have a very large repertoire of t-shirts.
Okay.
It's so I literally need to find like a stylist.
Okay.
So, when
We've heard it here, everybody. We've heard it here.
Yes,
this is gonna happen.
I don't have a lot of crazy clothing. It's literally like yoga pants and t-shirts. And when I do find a t-shirt, I will buy all of them.
Okay.
Like I have like all the Adidas t-shirts. I bought like 7 of them. They're all in different colors because they fit.
Sorry?
Because they fit.
Do they fit?
Like,
I'm like laughing. I love this. I'm like channeling my inner Queer Eye for you. And I'm like channeling Tan France. So I'm going to just channel Tan France because he did a masterclass on how to build your style. And I took it and it was very helpful. And the number one thing that really brought me forward in terms of my own style was he said, who do you admire? Like whose style do you admire that you would wear their clothing in a heartbeat?
I have no idea because I don't even dabble in that market.
Okay, so that is the gift for you for Pinterest to I mean it because it literally goes like it's pretty quick. Like for me, it's Victoria Beckham and Kate Middleton. Like I like Victoria Beckham is like to me solid ass style, like very simple, very elegant. But at the same time, you can roll up your sleeves and like run around with your kids or like do some charity work. Like that's basically what Kate Middleton does. She's like, I'm in a suit and I'm in a business meeting. And then a kid comes up to her and she's like, I'm going to take my blazer off. Like I just didn't like Kate, Kate Middleton, probably a lot more delicately with an English accent. She would be doing this, but, I would say that's my wardrobe style where I look like I can walk into a meeting, and write on a whiteboard. But then if like, they need me to go, help out with like food bank, I'd be like, yep, there we go. I'm just gonna have the sweater. Like so I still look professional, but I also feel like I can get my hands dirty, and still look cute and pretty. Like that's basically it. I'm like, that's it.
I've always been like the sporty spice. Like,
okay.
Like,
yeah.
That's always like, legit have like ballroom gowns because I can like go from sporty spice to like gala in like a heartbeat. But there's like nothing in between. Like, because that's like my world is like sporty spice or like go to a thing with George.
J-Lo has that very fascinating style in the sense that she wears like the most amazing sweatpants I've ever seen in my life. Like she just does these and then her hair, and I'm like
she can rock like a ponytail and like 3 seconds later she's wearing that like green dress with her tatas hanging out, and
and it's like Versace. It's like she just like literally made Versace. And just to I know we side-tailed here, but this is the whole point of credit that I think I'm learning now is that to give yourself credit, you have to let the dreamer back in. And I know that sounds funny because everyone's like, what the hell does that, like we're all manifesting, we're all doing this, but a part of giving yourself credit is part of recognizing that you're worthy of that. Right. And so it's like kind of, to me, like before I'd be like, I couldn't dress like Victoria Beckham. You guys are kidding me? And I'm like, nope, I can, like, it's actually giving yourself the credit that you can also do something or change something, or so yeah, Pinterest for you, queer eye.
I'm super blessed that we have a family member in the family, my niece. She's a fashion designer. So when I have a crisis, I'm like, hey, Aunt Jennie needs some help. And she will always point me in the right direction. And she will hook me up with like places to buy shoes, the dress, the 9. So she is like my personal stylist when it comes to like gala stuff. So yeah, she is like dressed me and she's perfect. So she is amazing. She's won like amazing competition. She's been in Paris. She's been in New York Fashion Show. She's like,
you kind of found your stylist. I was gonna say
she is my stylist, and I absolutely love her. And we kind of look alike, which is kind of fun. But she's like amazing with her styling. And she's always like, Aunt Jen, this would look so cute on you. And I was like, what the fuck is
that? Okay. This is perfect. There you go. You got it.
But I was like, girl, that doesn't have like yoga pants in it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Cute. I love her. But she had like this one dress that she made for like a Paris fashion show is absolutely gorgeous. And it's like my dream to have this and wear this for like a show. But I was like, so when this is like out of like it's in a exhibition somewhere, I'm like, when that's out, and Jen wants that. Yeah. I want to wear that for a show.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like the only bouge thing that I ever like is like something that my niece makes. But other than that, like seriously, you will see me in like yoga pants and a t-shirt because my life is like either at the gym or like in front of this coaching or like hiking and cycling. Literally no time to wear heels.
Yeah. I love heels. I think
you're also like 5'5".
Yeah, I'm like, I am. I'm 5'4". So like, I love them.
I wear heels. I'm 6'6".
Yeah. So it's
and I'm okay with that. I wear my 3-inch heels and I love them. And then my husband's like 5'10".
Okay.
So it's like, I have no problem wearing heels. And we go to events and I wear heels and I'm like, I own it. I own the room. And I'm literally at least 3 inches taller than every man in the room.
Okay. I mean, I love that personally, but I can only imagine what that, like, I don't know what the other side feels like personally. Like I've been almost the shortest person in the room. So or at least one of, so it's been a different.
Well, I can always find all the emergency exits before everybody else.
Yeah. That's always good. That's always a plus.
Yes.
Yeah. That's always good. Yeah. I love heels. I really do. And speaking of, I am going to bring up dating now because it does have a point.
There you go. Here we go.
There's a relevant point to this as we talk more about credit. And I would say that comparison, the other part of credit that really can kibosh you is comparison, right? It's it's just
comparisonitis. It needs to be like a DSM-5 code. I talk about that all the time. Go ahead.
But I think there's a large reason as to why people don't give themselves enough credit is because they're so busy focusing on the other person and what that other person has, and then comparing it to what they aren't. Or it's like, it's like you actually devoid yourself of, being present as well with that person because you're so busy going like, they're better than me or I'm better than them, because that happens too. But I think that's the biggest one that I've learned, especially in the dating realm, as and also it's different. I've noticed I never did this when I was dating guys. Like I wouldn't go like, he's prettier than me, or he's like, I didn't do that. Like I was just like, what the F? Like, but when it's been a woman, it's like all of my triggers have come up in regards to like, whether I'm making enough money, am I attractive enough? Am I like, I actually compare myself to my partner, which is
super hard. Like, honestly, in your world, in the aspect of like trying to date with another woman, because it's like, you're almost like competing.
Yeah. Which is so strange. Yes.
Like, I feel I can't compete against George. First of all, it's like a
Yeah.
different world. He's a man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he does
Yeah.
manly things. Like
Right.
I
Right.
that's not my world to compete against. Like I
Right.
feel for you. Like that's got to be super uncomfortable.
It's one where I feel like it for years has gotten me into a situation where I'm not recognizing my own like gifts and abilities because I'm so focused on not being, it all transcends to an insecurity of not being good enough. Like I do know that, whether it's, pretty, whether it's your looks, whether it's your finances, whether it's your body, whether it's your fucking, I don't know, the way you talk, your knowledge, your experience. There it's a sense of not good enough, like no matter how you put it. And so for me, yeah, it's I've become, as I do more work on myself and as I'm, getting back out there dating, it's made me realize like, and also I'm not even paying attention to this beautiful woman in front of me. Like she could be the kindest human being on the face of the planet, but because I'm so fixated on not being some sort of a not enoughness, you miss this wonderful kind of person in front of you, right? So I think that has been a major where I'm like, I've dated wonderful people, and I would say that I also wasn't ready, but I also think I could have enjoyed myself more, but I didn't because I was so busy going like, well, what does she think of me with this, or what does she think of me with that? And it's like, Jesus,
I guess I can't say that I don't have that with George, but it's like, I we would have the same thing too, like on our end, like I'm not good enough for him, or
yeah,
does he like me for my my girliness?
right,
Am I smart enough? Do I make enough money for him to like me? Does he like me for me, or does he like me for my boobs? Like
right.
that kind of stuff. But it's just kind of funny. Like I feel like it's extra pressure. It's like
Mm-hmm.
societal pressure of like, am I pretty enough? Am I good enough? Do I make enough money? But then it's like the girly stuff. Like, you know, will she like me for my heart? Will she like me because I'm like compatible? Like it's
Yeah.
so interesting. I feel like it's so much more pressure for you.
It's almost more like my friends used to tell me that I would review a woman. Oh God, if anyone's dating me now, they're gonna know it. That I reviewed them. I mean, I've said it before on a podcast, so it's safe. That I review more from a resume standpoint than I do an actual heart standpoint. So it's taken me a really long time to recognize that, I used to do it to her where I'd be like, okay, what's her career? What's her whatever? I've stopped doing that. But what I haven't stopped doing is I haven't stopped resumeing myself, right? So it's been like, well, what are your what's your outwardly aesthetic, right? So yeah, it's like kind of asking a different question, like you said, about, what's her heart like? What's her mind like? Like, is she kind? Is she, loving? And Gay Hendricks talks about, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was like, I'm doing this for myself and like envisioning this when he was getting married to Katie, his now partner of like 40 plus years, and they're in the industry of like supporting other couples. They made a deal. They were like, we knew it was like this bombastic big hairy goal that we would remove all criticism and blame from one another, and that we'd live our relationship in appreciation. And they're like, it's not like we haven't criticized or we haven't blamed, but we made that commitment that our full force would go towards appreciation. And it's taken us years to get there. And I'm going to myself like, okay, this is the deal I'm going to make now with my partner, that it's like, if you come from appreciation for your partner, it's almost this glorious thing that happens, because even for anyone, and you take out criticism and blame, even if it's like 70%, the effects, like that's what I think is happening when I'm going, oh, I'm pretty in a mirror, because I'm eliminating criticism and blame from my own life, or, so it's like me recognizing like I made that commitment. Like as I read that, I was like, I'm making that commitment. And you have to make it to yourself too, because you can't only make it to your partner, you have to make it to you, because otherwise, how are you supposed to be in appreciation of your partner when you're self-critical? It's not going to happen. So like you just said, it's got to be this dedication and full-on life commitment to now go, I'm going to do everything I can in my power to appreciate And I really do think that's where the credit comes in, because you just start to appreciate everything versus like, oh, this is wrong, this needs fixing, right? Like, it's such a different place to come from. I was like, okay.
It's also like, it's being more in the moment versus like, I think we have a tendency to like meta communicate and be like, instead of being here in the moment, we tend to like oversee the conversation.
Right.
And like, you know, am I eating with the right fork? Am I getting shit on my shirt? Like, you know, am I sitting upright enough? Am I like, you're so meta communicating and critiquing yourself versus like really engaging the conversation. And I've caught myself many times to be like sitting there, like looking like I'm engaged, but truly my brain is like, sit up straight, do this. Don't put food in your mouth. Like, pretend you're listening. Oh my God, I'm not listening. What is she saying? Like, what are they doing? Like, you know, that you're so having this double conversation, but you're not even present in the moment. Like, we need to like stop being so judgy of ourselves. Like, they're obviously on a date with you because they like you for you.
Yes.
They read the resume. Obviously, last night I read the resume because I can Google anything and find anything. But like,
yes, which we will talk about. Yes, go on.
But it's like, you know, I can read a resume and learn about anybody. Yes. But on the other hand, a resume doesn't make a person. And I knew that, like, you know, as a boss, I would interview people and I would look at a resume and be like, wow, this person's great. They really fit the profile that I'm looking for. And then when you talk to them, they're like, wow, this person's terrible. Like, and it's so funny because you have those two aspects. Like, this resume's perfect. I want them for the job. Then you meet them, terrible. Or this resume's terrible. And then you meet them and like, wow, they don't really know how to articulate themselves.
Right.
Like, great.
Right.
It's so interesting to have those dynamics. And I think that's why, like, when you would say like, oh, I read their resume, and I'm like, girl, just like sit down, have a piece of pizza with them, drink some soda or whatever you drink, and like just hang out and have a conversation, talk about life, talk about dogs, talk about traveling, talk about whatever, and get to know them as a person versus like a resume. It's so fascinating.
I think you just nailed so many subjects, from like job hunting to like dating as a whole. You just like encompassed it all, because it's true, because you know, whether that is a job or a friend or a date or whatever, it's like there is this, if you can become consciously aware that you are performing versus like, it's like that's the distinction that everyone needs to, it's like your virginity. You have to learn how to do it. It's like, am I performing? If you can literally sit, like you just said, go, like anyone do this, go to your next friend dinner, just gauge it for yourself and know the distinction. And it will be the most powerful thing. If you can sit through that dinner and go, I can say whatever I want, I can do whatever I want, I feel completely comfortable, pulse it, because you'll start to notice, like, I've been doing it now for like just to trying to pay attention and master my own emotions and understand what good feeling comfortable and safe and actually myself feels like, versus like you said, am I sitting up? Am I like, you know, is my hair
proper?
Am I saying the right thing? Am I saying what they want me to say? Am I, you know, it's like, and clock it in yourself, because for me, it's been such like a mind shift in the sense that it's like, were you being yourself? What does that even mean? What does that look like? Because the more you can acclimatize to yourself, like being comfortable, I think that's the part that a lot of people don't tell you about, like even being comfortable in yourself, is you have to climatize to it. It's not like it happens over, like, as I'm reading new material about like Gay and Katie, who, you know, have been in a very happy marriage and it's non-plus, like they don't lie about their fighting, they don't lie about anything, but I almost had to climatize to believing that you could actually have, you know, a relationship without conflict, or with conflict, but how to fight where it's like you're on the same team. Or so it's almost like the same too with giving yourself credit or love or whatever you want to call it, and knowledge and recognizing yourself. Like you said, presence. It's like, if you can be present with this person and you're not trying to escape or retreat or leave or distract or like just trying to get yourself out of there in any other way, like that's when you know, you're like, wait, this is actually like me in my happy space. But I think we're so few and far between that now, that like it's almost like you have to train your brain to go like, oh, this is the feeling, I am safe, I'm gonna bliss the fuck out in this moment so that I can let it last a little longer.
Absolutely. And we tend to, like, you exactly hit what was so important, is that when things get uncomfortable, we tend to like retract or run or throw a Scooby snack one way and like totally skip out. Like, because that's our innate behavior. That's our way of like self-preservation. But like, until you're in a comfortable space with somebody, or knowing that it's safe to have open conversations and to be in a, like, I keep on saying safe space, you know, and that's like a huge thing with like coaching, is to be able to communicate with somebody and be able to show them that you can talk freely without consequences. And and that's so important, even with coaching, dating, being a boss, being a friend, is knowing that, sure, you may say some off the wall shit, but knowing that you're not going to judge them.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're like start murdering people and like start telling me some weird shit, like, yeah, I'll be like, girl, maybe that's not the best thing. But like, leaving this space open and having that communication with people is so important. But that's being present. That's having that dialogue with somebody. And that's where like relationships start building. That's where friendship starts building. That's where like, you know, good coworkers and boss employee relationships are. It starts with communication.
1,000%. Yeah.
1,000%. And that's where I myself give myself credit, in the aspect of like, do active listening and being like, okay, cool. Like, listen to their tone, watch their body language. How are they breathing? How are they blinking? Like, I'm very animated. For somebody who's Polish and German, I'm very like Italian. I married Italian, I always say. But it's like, I watch people and how they move. I like, my eyebrows are always moving. It's hilarious. Like, I phenomenal facial expressions. But it's like, I watch people and how they communicate. That is so important on how people express their emotions. Like, I have been in many interviews and I interviewed people that they're very stoic. And I'm like, I can't read you. Like, when you're telling me the happiest moment of your life and you are just stoic, it's fake.
Yeah. Well, it's contrived, right? It's contrived.
And I'm just like, I don't believe you. And then I ask them like an off question, and I'll be like, if you were a car, what kind of car would you be? Just to completely throw them off, because they're expecting like very serious questions when they're that stoic. And then they'll be like, well, I would be a Honda Civic. And I'm like, you're fired. And I'm like, why would you pick a Honda Civic? Like, and I'm just trying to have them think something outside the box.
Yeah.
The best answer I ever heard is a lady told me she wanted to be, was it a Honda Element? I
don't even know what that is, but
it's the one that looks like a toaster. I guess it's not isn't an Element? They're called Elements here, but it's like a Kia Soul. They kind of look alike. Okay. And they look like a toaster. And she's like, because I have 2 dogs and I put them in the car, their fur gets everywhere. I literally open the doors. I take a leaf blower. I blow out all the fur and I brush it out. And I was like, this bitch knows what she wants.
Yeah.
She literally has a plan. She takes action and she's on it. Like, would I ever buy the car? No, not my jam. But on the other hand, functional. It has a plan. Like, you're hired. And I literally hired her, and she was one of my best employees
I think
because she took action and she like
yeah,
knew what's up.
yeah, you hit on some really interesting things here that I think are like just highlighting this genius here in the story you just wrote there. It's like, just to untangle that, it's like, it's basically saying like, she wasn't giving you an answer of lip service to ensure that you were happy with the answer. She was literally answering to the point of, this is what I love and enjoy, and this is what I want. And it wasn't to impress or, that's a huge distinction of like, I think credit needs to be redefined, or at least for my, if someone's like, what does credit mean now? It used to be so significance driven. And what I mean by that, it was always like the title, the salary, that people recognize my work, that people like, that's what I believe credit was. And now I know that it's, when you really spoke about it in the safe space part, was it's about self-respect. It's about respecting yourself first and foremost, and actually giving yourself like a credit of like, wait, I'm a wise soul, I'm a beautiful soul, it's a recognition. It's not now a credit of it's so fascinating how it's changed for me, but it's not about like someone going like, oh, this person's like, I would rather, if someone said to me, tomorrow, like, what would you want someone to say about you? And it used to be like, oh, I'm a businesswoman, I'm this, I'm that. And now I'd rather someone go, Kristin made me feel like I was the most special, important person, and that I was heard and listened to, and that I felt like I could do anything, and that I'm safe in my space, and that, it's really not all that bad, or that, it's just like, I felt like I had a friend. Like that to me more, if that was the behind the scenes of, and that, yes, I'm really smart and I'm passionate, but it's like, those are things that I intrinsically am proud of in myself now, that I've been afraid of, in the past, like, oh, I'm too much or whatever. But it's almost now like credit is more about the recognition of self and what I can give and how I can serve. And it's less about what the perception or how it's received.
The difference between significance and service.
Exactly. And connection and growth and love, because love is about, it's like credit is more, it's so different. It's not coming from the outside. Now it's like, okay, like how did I make someone feel? Right. Like, it's like, that's the whole point. If I, made someone feel comfortable and, like they mattered, that's huge. Like, that's amazing. Right. Like, it doesn't matter anymore about my title. Like, I kind of laugh.
Somebody
like,
did
okay.
for us.
Yeah.
That's because like, when we were in shitty places, that somebody like swooped in and like, I always say like healed us of that, that worry, that made us feel safe, that made us feel present, that made us, almost gave us the credit that we deserved.
Right.
And didn't take that moment away from us. And I have those people in my life. And those are moments that I'll never forget. And I was like, wow, I want to pay that forward.
Yes.
Like, that's what I do. Like, I don't want to be like, oh my God, Jennie's the most amazing coach in the world. Like, would I love that? Yes. I love when I got a message yesterday from one of my clients who literally had her colonoscopy because I yelled at her because she's like 60. And she's like, I had my colonoscopy yesterday and it went well. I'm so proud of myself for doing it. I'm like, yes, girl, yes. Like, it's something so little to be like, push you to do something, but knowing that she was scared AF to do something. It's scary. No lie, just had it myself. But like, she waited so long because she heard all these horror stories about it. Not fun to do it. But on the other hand, she did it. She had great results. And now she doesn't have to do it for like another couple years, whatever. But it's like being able to like show, hey, look, I did it. And look what happened. Everything is fine. Like, do it and be that role model for somebody else.
Yeah.
Show the pathway, like be that trailblazer for someone and be like, come on, girl, you can do it. Like, it's okay.
Right. I think you just like to segue into a genius. As we spoke about this, Jennie and I last night, there's something that, we kind of ended with in our chat, was that not enough female leaders are given credit. That was kind of my blanket statement. But what I've realized in that is that I think, in my own example, seeing powerful women, and I'm in Toronto, and it's just like we have some strong names in industry, whether that's tech or advertising. We're really lucky. And what I've realized is that, with these big names, they come with like, she's an author, she's an award winner, she, just kind of like the typical accolade, right? Like, and I'm not trying to diminish that, but like you just so beautifully said, in my own experience, being surrounded by really powerful women, myself, ironically, I've applauded them more for when I see a really powerful businesswoman go up to someone who is lacking in confidence, and in that moment says something so kind and so encouraging. Like, that to me is more where the credit of giving them like applause needs to go. So instead of it just being on, you're an author, you've created these laws, you've, had these awards, I think we've done a really great job of like, she's the first woman to do this, she's the first woman to do that kind of motif. But what we haven't applauded women in leadership enough for is how they freaking support all the behind the scenes, the 80 million things. Like Jennie, I can count endless times. I mean, I do need to say that, like, this is a perfect example where Jennie has endlessly helped women behind the scenes that you just do not see, but we don't, because they're so, I don't want to say in the shadows because that's creepy, but you know what I mean? Like, because they're an instant messenger, because they're, and similar to you, I've had moments where, a woman on a cruise ship, we were on a cruise. It was the best moment ever. Quick story. She was newly out. She was like, she could have been my mom. Okay. I was on a cruise with women who could have been my mom. It was super, I loved it. I was like the youngest one on this gay cruise, Pride. And she was like, I want to meet someone, and like freaking J-Lo and Enrique Iglesias are playing, and she sees this woman, and I'm like, you just got to go for it. It's just 30 seconds of courage. And I'm not kidding you. Like, everyone is bumping and grinding around these two souls. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, it's literally like, imagine J-Lo going, I want to dance and love and dance again. And these two were like in fixed conversation, and every like older BIPOC lesbian on the face of the planet is like, just like dirtying it up and having dry sex on the dance floor. It's the greatest vision I've ever seen in my life. And so finally she comes back with like her like practically fucking rotary phone, Nokia, like she needs an update. And like, she looks, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you might as well just do like the Zach Morris Saved by the Bell phone.
The backbone.
Like, fucking comes up to me, and I'm there, and I'm just like, how did it go? And she's like, oh, and then it was like, I want it too. It's like, we're all just there, like, in love, and it's like, it's that moment where I've had awards but that was the most rewarding moment for me. And it's like, I think that's, long story short, is to say that women in business in particular it's like they deserve to be applauded for the level and degree of support that they've given other women and other people in like the pep talks, the countless pep talks, the countless behind the scenes shit that they do not get credit for, is basically what I'm saying. Yeah.
I absolutely 100% love that story, because I think it's the women who secretly support other women,
yes,
who are the badass bitches.
Yes. Yes.
And I love that. Like, any woman would love to have their name in lights and do all these things and this, that, and the other thing. But I think it's the women who secretly like push people or like encourage and make that space for other women to succeed. I always bring other women to the table of life. Like, don't put me on a pedestal, because no one should be on a pedestal. We're all here doing the same thing at different times. Like, we're all on the same journey. We're all doing different things, but we're on the same journey. It's called life.
For
And
sure.
we're just learning different things. We're enjoying different things, but we're on this life journey. And just sit with me at the table of life. You don't know someone sitting next to you. I always use the food analogy because, like, I don't know how to cook. My mom never learned how to cook because it wasn't that gift given to her from her mother. So,
Okay.
like, I know how to cook some things because, like, I was a trial and error. I am a mean cooker when it comes to, like, some things on the stove.
Okay.
My
Okay.
husband can grill, like, we got that. But other than that, we like to, like, go out to eat here and there. But, like, I always say, I want to sit next to somebody in the table of life and be like, hey, can you teach me how to, like, make a souffle or make some really cool veggie Italian pizza? Or, how about this lady over here? Can you teach me how to, like, sew an outfit so I don't have to wear yoga pants and a t-shirt all the time? Like, everybody at the table of life teaches us different skills. And that's what I love. Like, I have certain skills that I'm really good at doing, and I don't mind teaching people those skills. That's why I coach. I am okay, and I am blatantly saying, I don't cook very well. I cook enough to not kill George and I. That's my level.
I love it. I love it. No poison today. No poison today,
No,
everybody.
like, I didn't kill him yet. We've been together for like 20 years. Like, thumbs up. But, like, if someone could teach me, like, a little recipe, and I have my clients, they literally send me, like, recipes. It's like, has like 4 like ingredients in it. And I'm like, this is badass. Awesome. I can do this. Like, quick, easy, and dirty. Like, those are my kind of recipes. And it's so funny because, like, that's what my clients know about me. And I'm like, hey, you got a crisis? Awesome. Let me help you with that. But it's all about that give and take in life that we are all going through. You will find people in your life that you're going to mesh with. Somebody's going to help you with something and you're going to help them. It's okay. It is okay to have friends like that. Sometimes we just need a friend just to laugh with. I always say, you know that you have great friendships with people that can fart and burp in front of you.
Yeah, that's a good litmus test. I mean it. It is a great.
It is hilarious. Test. And when you get to that level with somebody, it just makes me laugh because it's like they're super comfortable. And I'm like, hilarious. Like, literally, one of my friends the other day just burped, and I was like, I won a belch contest in college, out burped half the men's football team.
There you go.
And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, man, I can, like, without even soda. Like, I don't know. This is a God-gifted talent. So bad. But, and she's like, that's hilarious. And I was like, do you want to hear? So I, like, burped really loud. And she's like, that's kind of epic. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, go on. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's just like, those are the funny things that you build with people over time. And that's just like being authentic. That's about being in the moment with friends and laughing. And that's how you build friendships. That's how you get over those weird hurdles. Like, oh my God, I better not do that. Like, I remember the first time, like, I burped in front of George. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to think I'm such trash, but I'm like, shit happens. Literally.
It's also a normal bodily function, everybody. It's going to happen. I think that's the other part of this that you so beautifully highlighted is that it's like there's a trust there. I mean it. Like, I know it's like, parts, but it's like, no, but it's true. It's like the, highlighting parts. But it is, there's a trust element, right?
Today is hilarious.
It's just, I think it's about, again, it goes back to the self-respect element of trusting that if you do something, you won't lose it. One of the greatest fears, I think, when, going back to like the upper limit, Gay Hendricks chat, is like, he talks about the fears that we have and how we're like trying to circumvent. So one of them is like abandonment or loss or rejection. So of course, if something like that happens, and I'm guilty of this, where I like, it's exactly that, where I'll go, oh my God, I'll lose them, or I'll somehow like, turn them off, or exactly that. So it's one of my favorite descriptions that Gay really taught me was, he's like, people were not taught how to to love. We are not taught, like, we're not taught how to communicate that. We're not taught, and I don't care what race you are, I don't care what your level of status is. We're just all kind of parent generation. We're not taught. And so when we're, like you said, when we're in these relationships and your friend, burps and then you're joking, it's like in that moment you created a safe space for them, because that's their learning. Like, love is learned. Like, that's the irony that I have discovered from gay, is that it's like you have to unlearn a lot of what isn't love, like criticism, judgment, rejection, abandonment. You have to unlearn that, and you have to learn, like, oh, this is love. And so it's like, I think I, in the past, have judged myself so harshly for not raising my standards, or making mistakes, or not doing what's best for me, or blah, blah. But it's made me realize, no, you have to learn love. You have to learn what safety feels like, what acceptance feels like, and that's a work setting, that's a romantic setting, that's friends, and like it evolves. So when you pose it as it's something to learn, or that instead of I have to have this figured out, performative metric 101, everything becomes a learn. Everything, it's like it no longer, and the last part of this is when that's the other part of credit and redefining it, is you're giving yourself the credit to learn things, and that you're deserving of it, and that you don't have to know everything, and that you're worthy of letting someone teach you something new. Like, give yourself credit that you can learn a recipe, or that you're worthy of it, and that you don't have to, like, credit isn't, I realize credit isn't about like everything everything you do. It's about the fact of like really giving yourself enough recognition and self-respect to do the unknown, or try something new, or it's a whole different, definition for me anyway.
No, you're 100% right. And you kind of gave me this epiphany moment that love is different for everybody.
Yes.
Like, my love for you is very different for the love for George. But like, I'm a very loving, caring, supportive person, but it's like everybody gets a different type of love from me.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to understand. Like, people are like, oh, I love them. And I'm like, well, what type of love is it? Is it like a romantic love? Is it a friend love? Is it like an emotional love? Is it a physical love? Is it a spiritual love? Like, there's so many types of love. And it's just about, honestly, being in that moment, having that connection with somebody. And like, and it goes back to communication, having that space, listening, and just being there.
Yeah.
Is making that person feel safe and loved. And I think that's a huge part of today's conversation. It's like giving yourself credit, but also giving the other person credit to be like, hey, we're here. What's up? What's going on? What do you need from me? And how can I support you? And vice versa.
Yeah.
Having a type of loving relationship, no matter what it is, if it's friends, if it's a romantic relationship, it's having that like reciprocal type of communication, and having that ability to communicate back and forth and still have the progression of a topic. If you're communicating with somebody and it's just going around in circles and you're not getting anywhere, that's not very fruitful. And I had many conversations with people, and I'm like, oh my God, we're talking in circles. I'm trying to escape out of the conversation, but they just try to continue to bring you back. Like, that's not the type of friendship that I want to be in, because that's a B and C. You're just bitching and complaining. Like, escape. Like,
yeah, I have a question for you, like, which is an interesting one, because you said something. Sorry, I just want to honor your thought as well, because you just said something really cool that I was like, whoa, that was so interesting. And like, when you said about giving other people credit, that's so fascinating. Like, that's a really interesting point, because I mean, just your thoughts, just in general, like, I mean, like how to do that, like any thoughts there, and like, what does that look like? Like, that's an interesting, it's like the trust. It's so true. Absolutely. It's so true. You got to give other people the credit that they're going to show up and be there.
Like,
Interesting.
first of all, that's a trusting factor. You have to trust them enough to know that you're giving them your trust, your love, your support. You're trusting that person with whatever you're giving them.
Right.
And you're also trusting them that they're showing up as their best self, even though that they might not be. You're also trusting them to like show up being able to communicate with what they want to communicate. Sometimes we forget like what is going on in their brain, what's going on in their situation. Did they lose their dog? Did they have a car accident getting to work? Like what's going on in their brain? Like I always had a good conversation with somebody the other day, like they were having a fight with their boss. And I'm like, is this normal behavior for them? And they said no. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on in their world? Something is going on that's causing this negative behavior in your boss that's not normal. Did you ask them? That's a communication thing. That's a trust thing. Like something's up. If you normally have a good relationship with somebody and you know that something's off, ask them, babe, what's up? What's going on? Just having that curiosity to be like, hey, are you doing okay today? Trusting them and being able to open that door. They may slam that door in your face, okay, cool. They're not ready for any kind of like in-depth conversation. It might be a little bit surface. Happens, and now might not be the time. You might find out 20, 30, 40 minutes from now or the next day to be like, maybe they had an upset stomach. Maybe they had the flu, COVID, whatever. Like, they just don't know.
It's a level of understanding for them. And it's like, I think it's like, again, it's almost like being not assuming and like being open. I think that's something that adding to that like level of, it's like not trying to fill in the blanks of what's actually happening. I think that's the add to this genius that you just said is like, it's investigating like further and going, okay, what is the reason for said, XYZ behavior? But it's like, I know I have a tendency of doing this where because I've coached and because I've read a lot in self-development is what I'll do is a lot of the times I'll like fill in the blanks or I'll like assume their behavior is this way because of XYZ. And that's something I think too, where it's, you just made me realize where I need to give people credit and trust is that I need to trust that they will, maybe it's not in the 40 minutes, but it's like that they'll be able to articulate their feelings themselves, that you don't have to coach them. You don't have to put words in their mouth. You don't have to, giving people credit is trusting too, that they can articulate their emotions, they can work through their own problems, and that they can actually show up for you. I agree. Like those are things, work in progress in that regard, but I definitely, it's basically not treating them like a fucking wallflower. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's like they know their own mind, heart, soul, and that you're also trusting that they have full ownership. Even if they in their mind are not going, I have full accountability and ownership of my emotions and choices, it's honoring that they do, even if they're not fully conscious of them and not judging them for it, if that makes sense. It's
like they may not be ready to communicate something with you.
Yeah.
So when you're dating, it's like very guarded, I don't want to tell them that I like Disney or I like Barbie dolls or whatever. It's something weird, but like, I don't know, maybe Barbies aren't weird, but like, I don't know.
I'm like going to pull out my April Ninja Turtle right now, just for everyone to see. I like stole it. Do you know the Ninja Turtles?
Yes.
April.
Oh my God, April. Hilarious.
I love April.
Fun.
Probably
I like Donatello because he was the purple one.
And the most intelligent one, I would argue. But anyway, he was the nerdy one. I loved him. Yeah.
He's one that had like the wooden staff, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I sidebarred it there.
I like Disney. I always said to George, like, I was a Disney travel agent for 5 years. Like, I would go to Disney like every year. Like, I know a lot about Disney. I have like right here is like, you can't see it, but that's like Olaf and Figment. And then there's like another Figment right here. Like I grew up with Disney. I did not know that George likes trains, like choo choo, like literally weird.
Yeah.
There is like a train layout in our basement, like a whole city.
Oh my God, I love that. I think you, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing it.
I did not know this. Like for the first couple years of our marriage, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is there like a 14 by 11-foot layout? This thing is like 3 feet off the ground. I was like, you need like a hat. He's like a little thing, and like trains are everywhere. And I'm like,
this is amazing.
He's like, you didn't tell me about Disney. And I was this was like literally trust. And I was like, wow. But now I like absolutely adore it. It's like hilarious. Like his engineering brain made this thing like unbelievable, like unbelievable. Like this city.
Yeah.
And I always say I have like my little purse company, like little train stops, my little purse company. It's like hilarious. It's like Jen's purse company. It's like awesome.
I'm losing my mind. Like this is like my favorite.
Send a picture of it.
Exploded in so like I think that you also answered the question so geniusly, as you do in brilliant ways. This is the secret sauce, everybody.
Yeah.
Take note, if anything. You are celebrated for what you love. That is the key to when they're like in action giving you credit and you're giving them credit. It's like that. You literally describe it. No judgment. Like, no, it's just this keen interest and love of like, oh my God, you love that. That's the fucking coolest thing on the face of the planet. And it's not even like what the specific thing is. It's that they're passionate about this thing. And you create a safe space for other people to be like, you love Disney, I love trains. Like there's no right or wrong. There's no like, judgment. And it's like, that's exactly it. It's like the freedom. It's kind of like there's no box anymore. It's kind of like there's no parameter. There's no like, here's the KPI of metric of resume dating or job or partnership. It's literally like, oh my God, you like this thing and it's the most rando thing in the world, and that's awesome. And I think that's a beautiful way. I mean, Jesus, Jennie, you just really did it. It's like the celebration. It's exactly that. It's like it goes back to the women who've done the 80 million things for other people, that it's like that's the part that, if I were to impart any lasting words for today, it's that when you see someone do something behind the scenes, applaud them for it, because they're not normally applauded for that.
Absolutely.
They're applauded for the, making the money, it's like applaud them for the kindness that they're doing. And I think you just basically, that's the roadmap for me now. It's like, applaud the kindness, applaud the generosity, applaud the moments where they're not doing it to look good. And that's been me in leadership. That's always been me. Anywhere I always praise for exactly those moments, because those are the ones that haven't been acknowledged, the bravery, so I would say that to me would be my celebrate whenever you can those hidden moments and gems, because in yourself and in others, because those are the ones that deserve far more celebration than we've ever given them credit for. Yeah,
absolutely. That's perfect ending words. And my favorite thing that I do like to do every day, and I really go out of my way to do this, is make sure that you say one kind thing to somebody. If it's like, I know sometimes I don't get to leave the house because I'm here coaching, but it's like, if you do go to the grocery store, or go to the gym or wherever, just like compliment somebody, a stranger. Yeah. Like, even if you're like driving in a car, like wave at somebody, smile at somebody. Yeah. You don't know how something so little can make somebody's day. And something like that could make their day exponentially better. And that's something that my dad always taught me. He's like, just wave at somebody, just smile at somebody, because that smile is going to like make them happy, make them smile. And it's like just stacking of positivity towards the earth. And I always love that about that. Like, if I can start something so little and it turns into something so big, I want to be part of that. Yeah. It's like, just something so little. Like you don't have to buy someone's coffee, which is super nice. And I've done that before, but it's like, just wave. I helped a lady the other day get like, I want to end with this, but like,
No,
she's
go for
probably
it.
like 80 and she was trying to get like a 6-pack of soda out of like an end cap. And it was
Right.
like, it was horrible. Literally was going to fall on her. So I was like taking my shopping cart and I started seeing it starting to fall over.
Yeah.
And I like haul ass and I like threw my body up against it because it was this soda was going to fall on her. She's probably like 4'11" on a good day, 80-year-old lady.
Okay.
And I like quick pushed the soda up. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? She's like, I just want this 6-pack of soda. And I'm like, trying now hold up like 100 pounds of soda with my like ass cheeks. So I'm like, oh, let me get this for you. And I'm like, ugh, like trying to push up the soda. And I like put it in her little cart. And she's like, can I have 2 more? And I'm like thinking, this lady is not going to get this soda out of her cart.
Yeah.
And I was like putting it in the bottom of her shopping cart. And I'm like, holy shit, this would have fell on her.
Yeah, that's not.
And I was like, are you able to get this out when you check out? She's like, oh yes, my daughter works here. And I'm like, you should tell your daughter that this thing almost killed you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, no problem. And she's like, you are so kind. And I was thinking like, it's something so simple like that literally would have fell on her and probably hurt her. But it's like helping somebody. Like I am the beacon of hope when I go to the grocery store because they're like, oh, 6'3" lady, get that up there. But like something so simple, smiling at somebody, pay forward.
I mean, first of all, like I'm not surprised by any of what you just described because that's you on like a daily basis. There really is, like that's you. But I also think to honor what your dad has said and what you continue to lead in and embody truly is, you know, when you said like, oh, it's not a big, you know, it's a, you know, it's not a grandiose move, but I would argue that a ripple effect like that is like we, and now I'm going to be nerdy science for a minute, but Heart Math Institute, they talk a lot about heart frequency and when you are actually in happy state, your heart is actually in equilibrium with the earth. So that's how, so when we think, oh, it's not a big deal that I just made someone smile. So Heart Math Institute has actually clocked it where when you smile at someone and say a kind gesture, it actually sends them love and they feel good about themselves. It radiates to their brain. Then it actually, when they're giving your order, they're going to be the kindest to that person beside them because you gave them a kindness. There's actually a frequency pass. So ironically, you know, when people say they're getting grounded or they're feeling heartfelt or they're feeling, it's actually a healthy note so that ripple effect has a more grandiose effect than anyone can ever imagine because you literally, like, as they say, be temperature, be the thermostat, right? Like if you gauge it and you go in being kind, you literally shape and change the temperature of that room because everyone else starts to be kinder. It's so it doesn't seem like a big deal, but from a earth perspective and from a scientific perspective, as well as like your own, like, and like you just said, you go, oh, it's not a big deal because I just helped this person. But the train effect that happens because of kindness, you won't even see. You won't even like frequently see like from a free. So it's like, I think if we clock it that way, and a huge reminder from Heart Math is like, the more kind, you know, kindness is underrated. Because it's the most powerful thing you can be. And it's the most impactful thing you can be, right? So,
well, coming from an earth element, I get it.
There you go. I mean, I'm, you know, I'm a Leo, I'm a fire. So I just want to like make everyone, you know, passion. That's it. So, but yeah, you send me out all the time, Jennie, pretty much on a regular basis. So yeah, pretty cool.
Well, then once again, this has always been amazing. I hope that you all get at least a little bit of nuggets from this conversation today. You know, it's about giving yourself credit, you know, where credit is due, and we don't do it enough. You know, we don't do it enough for ourselves. We don't do it enough for our spouses, our friends, our coworkers, our pets. Just sit today somewhere. If you can get outside and soak up some beautiful weather, awesome. If not, just spend 5 minutes before you go to bed and be in that moment of gratitude and soak it in. Because when you have that 5 minutes of gratitude before you go to bed, you're going to bed with positive attitude. You're going to sleep well, and you're going to wake up tomorrow having an amazing high vibe kind of day. So that's my peace out moment for that. So
Amen. Yeah. Have a great